Okay, we're going to look at how to graph square root functions. Square roots are inverses of quadratic functions, so that kind of gives us a picture of what this is going to look like a little bit. It'll help us to kind of see it, I guess. So first off, y equals negative root x and positive square root x are kind of the standards to look at when you're going to go ahead and graph these. Let's go ahead and graph actually this y equals root x on the right here first. If we're going to graph this, we need a table of values, and so we want to plug in values to take the square root of. So I'm going to plug in 0 because the square root of 0 is just 0. I'm going to plug in 1 because the square root of 1 is 1, and then I'm going to plug in the next number that's easy to take the square root of. If I plug 2 in, the square root of 2, that's not easy to do. The square root of 3, I don't know that, but I do know the square root of 4, so I'm going to plug 4 in. The square root of 4 is 2. Okay, and the next one I could plug in would be 9, the next nice one, because the square root of 9 is 3. Okay, and I don't know if I can plot all these on my graph. I'll give it a shot, but so I've got 0, 0, I've got 1, 1, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3. And so I've got these points on my graph, and so my graph is going to look like that. Okay, it's actually it's like a sideways parabola, and it's half of it, the top half. Okay, over here on the left, I could make another table of values, but if you look at this table of values I already have over here, my y values are going to be exactly the same as the y values for this, except for there's this negative sign in front. So they're going to be the opposite of all these. So when I go to graph these, instead of graphing these points as 1, 1 and 4, 2, I could graph these points for this equation over here as 4, negative 2, 9, negative 3. And so I'm going to go ahead and plot these 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 4, negative 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, negative 3, and I will get these points. Okay. You can see if you put these two graphs together on one graph, you would have one sideways parabola that kind of looks like x squared, except for flipped over on its side. And when we're graphing square root functions, we're going to do them in vertex form, just like we are graphing equations in vertex form, except for the only difference being that they're sideways, okay? And you only have the top of the graph or the bottom of the graph. If there's no negative in front, it's the top half. If there is a negative in front, it's the bottom half of that graph. Okay, so let's look at a couple that are shifted a bit. So we've got this equation right here, square root of x plus 3. So what we're going to do is look at that as far as vertex form. You could think of it being plus 0. So the vertex then would be negative 3, 0. Remember, this is like x minus negative 3. So I'm going to plot that, negative 3, 0. And I want to graph this sideways parabola from here. If I go back and look at the last page for a minute, I'm going to graph this graph right here with these points from my new spot instead of from 0, 0. So from here, I'm going to go over 1, up 1. Over 4, up 2, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, over 9, up 3. And so this is going to be my sideways top half of my parabola for y equals the square root of x plus 3. On the next one, y equals the square root of x minus 2. If you want to rewrite this, you could rewrite this as the square root of x minus 0 minus 2. So my vertex is going to be 0, negative 2. I can find that. 0, negative 2 is right here. And now I'm going to graph my sideways parabola just like I did over here, from, instead of that point, from this point. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1, over 4, up 2, and over 9, up 3. And then you can sketch your parabola in, and that's how you graph that one. On the next one, y equals negative the square root of x plus 4. We've got vertex form again, and we have this negative to worry about. So first off, let's worry about what the vertex is. If I were to rewrite this as x minus negative 4 plus 0. I could think of this as my vertex being at negative 4, 0. So let's plot that. That's my starting spot. And now I would graph my sideways parabola, but instead of going up, I'm going to go down because of this negative here. So over 1, down 1, over 4, down 2, over 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 9, down 3, and then I can graph my sideways parabola. Should look something like that. Okay, so for this last one, let's rewrite this as y equals negative square root of x minus 0 plus 4. So you can see your vertex comes from here, 0 and 4 there. So let's plot that. 0, 4 is right there. And I'm going to graph a parabola, and it's going to be the bottom half of the parabola because of that minus sign. So I'm going to go over 1, down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4, down 2, and over 5, 6, 7, 8, over 9, down 3. And then I'm going to graph a sketch of that through those points best I can. Should look something like that. And that is how you graph different translations left and right of square root functions.